Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. I'm sure most of you, when you read the title, is US planning to dump Ukraine, you're thinking that Ukraine will be thrown into a dustbin. Well, there are two ways to look at it. Ukraine is already in a dustbin, but there are double meanings. The Western media has started saying we've done enough, we've done all we can, we can't do any more. Is that a sign of defeat or is that a sign of escalation? Let's find out from General Prabdeep Singh. Sir, good evening. Welcome to the Thursday night, which is Ukraine night on Dev Talks.
Good evening, Aadi, and good to be back once again and to discuss Ukraine. Ukraine never stops amusing all of us. I'm sure even the viewers feel the same way because every day is a new factor which is brought into it. So just a quick recap as to what all has happened. What are the important highlights which have happened in the last couple of days? The important news has been, of course, the visit of Antony Blinken, which was unannounced. He just landed up in Kiev. He came by train, and on the way, he stopped at Netherlands. And we've also had one of these interesting missile attacks on a place called Konstantinivka, which in about 17 civilians have got killed. There's a little controversy on that.
Fired.
It has been timed with the visit of Antony Blinken to Kiev. Whether it's been done by the Russians or whether it's been done by the Ukrainians is a matter of perception. Uh, well, at times in such global games, you have to get your own people killed. So who's got it done is separate, but the fact remains that 17 what people got killed. And then, of course, in this visit, a large amount of aid has been announced. It's about the total amount is about USD 1 billion. And in that, you have humanitarian, you have military aid. I will talk about it a little later. And another interesting news, and I think one of the biggest news which has come about is the dismissal of the defense minister. Now, the Olesky Reznikov,
Reznikov.
he was the defense minister. He somewhere you read he's resigned. The other places you see he's been removed due to corruption, and also that he's been appointed as the ambassador of Ukraine to the United Kingdom. So you kind of remove him as defense minister and put him aside in the United Kingdom, and he's been removed on grounds of corruption. And apparently, as per what I gathered from the news, is an equally corrupt person, Rustem Umirov, who was born in Uzbekistan. He's the one who has been appointed as the defense minister.
He's a Tatar, right, sir?
He's a Tatar, but he was born in Uzbekistan, and then he lived his life in Crimea, and otherwise he's a Tatar.
Symbolic.
And then you have all these ports, that is Reni, Odessa, Ismail, and another one which is Kilia, that have been attacked and badly damaged. So the Russians are not letting go of all the ports. They've kind of vowed to destroy them. After all, that is one of the strategic aims, to get hold of the Black Sea, and then they must do what they can do. And there was this controversy of some material of some debris falling into the Romanian soil, which initially they were denying that nothing. The Romanian president had also said that no such thing has happened. There's been no attack onto the Romanian soil. However, later on he changed his stance and he says yes, certain amount of debris has fallen down. But this was kind of confirmed by White House and the others, saying that no such thing has happened. So there's a little distinct twist to it. Maybe he was pressurized to say that yes, Ukraine is kind of trying to drag Romania into this war. And when you drag Romania into this war, that means NATO gets into the war zone. So this kind of narratives are being pushed. Now, you have another interesting news is the United States is going to redeploy its nuclear weapons on British soil. They were there earlier from 1954 to 2008. It's only in 2008 that the nuclear arsenal, which was deployed in UK, was removed. But now they've taken a decision to redeploy there. Now, when all those things are happening, well, what it's coming about is not a very healthy situation where the Russians are also operationalized their so-called Saturn II, what the West calls the Saturn II, the ICBMs. If those are going to be deployed and operationalized, and the United States is coming back to the United Kingdom, you have tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. So things are kind of getting complicated, if I may just say so. In the war front, we had one of these Challenger 2s which had been destroyed. So the total of 14 which had been provided, one has been destroyed. It was supposedly, Challenger 2 has never been destroyed, is what the Britishers would boast about. But lo and behold, they have one which has gone down, and that was taken on by an ATGM. So when you have all this, as far as the war itself, the ground situation is concerned, one must agree that the Ukrainians armed forces are making a little headway. But as I explained to you all last time, they have miles to go. They have lots to do, lots of ground to cover up. And as per Hannah Muller, only 47 square kilometers of the territory has been liberated as of now. And in the last 1 week, only 3 square kilometers. Now, at times I do feel a little, I feel like laughing because this is not something which you want to boast about. 3 square kilometers in 1 week. Uh, while we understand it's not easy, but to talk of such incremental gains when you have so much of a distance to cover in your war games, aims are very, very, very big. This is absolutely minuscule.
Minuscule.
Interestingly, the Russian armed forces are also not actually making much of headway in the Kupiansk, Kharkiv, Kharkov, whatever you want to call it, that sector. This is also, in my opinion, a deliberate move not to escalate it beyond a particular point and conserve their armed forces. Why they want to do that is something which you will see. Uh, Another interesting thing which has come about is since the Ukrainians are falling short of manpower,
Mhm.
everybody is running away from Ukraine. I mean, people are paying up to 15,000 US dollars to escape conscription. I mean, it's
I
not
didn't know
funny.
Ukraine. I didn't know Ukraine was that rich, sir.
No, the earlier going rate was about 3 to 4,000 US dollars, but now off late it's gone up to 15,000 US dollars.
Wow.
And that is one. And based on, because of all this, we've had the President Zelensky dismissing all 26,
Officers.
all the officers who were responsible for recruitment and registration of these recruits. They have been dismissed. So obviously, the large scale of corruption which is there. Along with that, what you got to see are two more things. One, they're going to make it compulsory for the women also to get conscripted. So while till now it was the men folk who were being forcibly taken off the streets, now it's going to be women, and women age, is from 15 to about 70 is what they're going to get picked up from the streets and made to fight. At the same time, Ukraine has requested all the EU nations to extradite all the people who are there in the other countries. They need they've requested for extradition of these people. Like Poland has said, thank you very much, please go back. EU, most of the countries have said that if you are here, leave the EU or go back and fight. So the strain of the refugees is being felt by the entire of the European Union. So when you have all this that is happening, I really do not know as to where is the will to fight. You may get the person to fight, but is he going to fight? As I gather from a lot of interviews of these soldiers who were just randomly picked up, they have preferred to surrender than to get
Yeah.
killed. So, and as it is, there is a big debate going on that the counteroffensive is going nowhere. Is the United States going to dump them on this score? This is all that we will discuss as we go along. So this was a kind of, I just wanted to round it up and tell you as to what exactly has been happening the past couple of days. Yeah.
Thanks, sir, for that. I mean, so let's get to the game, sir. Dump
Yeah.
means two ways. Ya to dustbin, which is proverbially there, but literally in the dustbin ki bhai, enough, you give your land to Russia, which NATO has said at a time. NATO has mentioned this to Ukraine that you might have to do this. So there is a sense of reality in that aspect also. We need to kind of balance both the things out. Second aspect would be to put. I mean, the second aspect I think is a scary one, sir. And I'd leave that to you to kind of help us decipher that because the dumping is dangerous as well, sir.
Yeah. I mean, let's examine this because let's face facts. Everybody is very clear. I mean, all that is coming out of the media, and we've been talking about this over, I think, about nearly a month now, where we are saying that the narrative is being built up to say that the war is going nowhere and enough is enough. So we do understand this, but how much of enough is enough? You have Anthony Blinken coming in and again announcing some aid package, right? You have the Abrahams which are going to come in. 10 of them are supposed to arrive this month, and by the end of the year, the balance of 21, making it an armored regiment, armored battalion, or a regiment, whatever you want to call it. So they're going to come in by the end of next year. So end of this year and beginning of next year. So 10 tanks coming in now. Along with that, you promised depleted uranium. So that also needs to get discussed. So when you look at in this context, is the United States kind of ditching Ukraine?
Yeah.
Now, if I look at the scale of it, the scale of the whatever is being supplied, the scale of whatever is being supplied is minuscule, right? Now I have come, so I must give you a gift, right? I have to visit you. So here you are. There's a little bit of handout I have to give you. After all, I must give you something when I come. So there is a little
Mm.
present. So that is what has happened. So as far as 1 billion USD that is being allocated, I'll just give you a little breakdown. 175 million is for weapons or arms and ammunition, and these are basically HIMARS, 155 ammunition, depleted uranium ammunition for the Abraham tanks, etc. Now, 206 million is for humanitarian, and interestingly, 203 million is for transparency and anti-corruption efforts. Come on, give me a break. You need $203 million for transparency and anti-corruption efforts. I think this is a payout to our friend
The
Zelensky and his
comedian.
cronies.
Mm.
Keep at it. So this is how you cover it up. So I just told you 175 millions out of 1 billion is for weapons. So this is a very small amount which is being handed over at the moment. So if you want to link it to the fact that are they ditching it? Yes, slowly and slowly they are reducing the aid which is being given to them, the military part of it.
Gee.
So there is a decrease if I may just say so. F-16s, we know what the status of F-16s is. The question is, everybody, whether it is the European nations or whether it is US, the feeling has come about counteroffensive going nowhere. We've done enough for Ukraine. We've given them enough of money, enough of wherewithal, and how long can we keep giving?
Hmm.
Is the question. How long? Now, if you look at that, then maybe the United States will just prolong it up to the elections and say after that, in any case,
We'll deal with you.
when the tables turn, when the Republicans come in, they're going to say, thank you very much. We want to put an end to the war. And as some say, if that kind of a situation arrives, maybe it will lead to the disintegration of NATO, because NATO cannot survive without US support. And as it is, all these nations have suffered so badly economically that NATO is going to collapse the moment the Republicans come to power. So this is a kind of a narrative which is also existing. Now, let's look at the other side of it. When you say that, I tell you, buddy, I have done enough is enough. I have helped you to the extent possible. I now totally understand that you're incapable of doing anything, but I have to make sure that Russia is weakened.
Side hut.
Now you get a side, I take
Hmm.
over.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
No, as it is, if you see, if you read in between, some things keep coming in. There is a disagreement between the United States handlers. I'm, I'm purposely using the word handlers and not advisors, because there are people on ground, apparently existing on ground, who are dictating terms to the Ukrainians as to how to fight.
Gee.
And the Ukrainians are not listening to them and saying, thank you very much, we know how to fight. And we will fight the way we want to fight. And but of late, they have listened to them, and because of that, they are transferring a lot of forces towards the Zaporozhia, the dent that they have made. I don't even talk. It's a dent that they have made, and it is like I am compelling you to use all your forces and to go in as deep as possible. After which, if you fail, I'm sorry, buddy, you're not going to get anything out of me. So all the Ukrainian armed forces and attention has been diverted to wherever little gains have been made. So once those forces are exhausted, what happens next? Who's going to fight? And that's the time they'll say, thank you very much, now move aside. And they will make sure, they will make rounds, or maybe the United States is already thinking in making rounds of intervening. And for if that happens, then we know as to where the war is going to lead. We already have, Tucker Carlson and all debating and saying that there's going to be a direct war between the United States and Russia in the year 2024,
24.
right? So if these calls are coming out from state media, or not the state media, or unbiased media, so that means there is something big happening, and that's a cause of worry. As I mentioned, we already have trouble brewing up in China,
Mm-hmm.
whether it is engineered to take to, these things always happen. This engineering would take place to make sure that China is in deep shit itself, within itself. So divert China from this particular war. So deal with Russia, let China be mired within its own problems, while Russia is to be dealt with, is to be weakened. And once Russia is weakened, then we will deal with China subsequently. So this kind of games may be happening behind the scenes. And in any case, the moment you have a direct involvement of the United States Armed Forces or NATO forces in Ukraine, there's going to be a major escalation.
Yeah.
And if that happens, uh, or that may be the aim, because defeat is something that the United States is not going to accept, or
You
the
could probably
president.
negotiate also with that happening.
Yeah, I mean, they've already spoken about it. They've already, the NATO has already, they had one assistant, a junior level officer, saying that Ukraine should be ready to cede land, right, and pay the price for peace. So these are leaks which take place. So there is a feeling that, look, trying to tell Ukraine, buddy, you come to terms with what the existing status is, and let's put an end to the war. Because so this negotiating part of it, pressure, negotiations, etc., are also going about. Ideally, there should be a ceasefire, but the ceasefire will only take place if there is a intent on
Consensus.
the part of the United States to have a ceasefire in place, which, to my opinion, is not happening. Because if they have to go for elections, they have to go uh, with a positive kind of impact rather than a negative one, which says that they lost it as far as Ukraine is concerned. So there is a lot at stake. And that's my theory on this. It could escalate to an extent that leads to a bigger conflagration, or it could just stay at a negotiating stage, come negotiate and put an end to it. But that doesn't seem to happen. I mean, trying to get people extradited from different countries, getting women onto the thing, is the state of desperation is extremely high within
Hmm.
Ukraine. Firing people left, right. I mean, how do you do that? And there is this newspaper report. I think it's in the Economist, if I'm not wrong, which says that I may be wrong in the newspaper, so but it is there in one of the newspapers, which says that as far as Ukraine is concerned, it has led to democracy is coming to an end, has already come to an end in
No
Ukraine,
elections. Hmm. Hmm.
right? Because people are being fired, people are being forcibly conscripted, etc., etc. There's a whole lot of corruption. So when they say there is no democracy, there's autocracy, and Ukraine is supposed to be fighting for democracy.
Liberal freedom, I
Yeah,
believe.
it's talking about it as the icon as far as uh, they're fighting a democratic nation is fighting an autocratic czarist regime. So this is where the dichotomy lies. So God knows as to where it's going to lead to.
That's a
Yep.
very scary situation that you brought about, sir, because, talking about two nuclear powers going into a face to face is quite a dangerous scenario. Having said that, sir, there are also murmurs. The Western media is kind of now. Let me break this down. The American media has been talking about the reality. They've
Yeah,
been
yeah,
articles here, articles there coming out. What is interesting to me is when the Telegraph or the Guardian print something,
yeah.
because that's like the gut of, that's like the base of the whole, the game. And
You know
the
what
first
what the
time we,
let
yes,
me interject. You know what the Guardian said? Guardian reported time is running out of Ukraine's counteroffensive. Kiev and the allies are shifting blame on each other.
exactly the article I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Now this is very interesting to me because sounds like there are more differences than cohesions, because all these come from those hidden intelligence sources at the end of it. So what is your opinion with regards to the cohesion? So because America by itself going inside will can't do it, will need some support. Poland is probably the only one that will be ready and willing, but there also the kind of support is dropping. So how do you figure this out, sir?
You know, as I said, the narratives building up.
Yeah,
Now,
that's the problem.
Ukraine, you, there are two narratives building up, if I may just put it this way. One is infighting. Now, you know how they are playing it. Now they're talking about shifting blames. Earlier they were saying counteroffensive not going anywhere.
Hmm.
That is okay. When say you're not doing a good job.
Hmm.
But now the other one turns around and says, I am not doing a good job because of you. You get the point. So there's a little squabble which is going on. And if the moment it has come onto the media, now the Americans are trying to put the blame on the Ukrainian army and the Ukrainian armed forces, saying that you didn't guide us well, you don't know, we will fight the way we want to fight. So there is this difference of opinion is something which is showing a lot of dissension, and that is why you do not have any reports coming out of NATO. You tell me, what have you heard out of Jen whatever Salzburg?
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
said that. I mean, effectively paraphrasing, he said that Russia has demilitarized us. We don't have equipment left.
yeah, the Europe is demilitarized absolutely. Now they are talking of a collaborative effort. You know, the EU nations are looking at a collaborative effort as far as gathering ammunition is concerned, or producing ammunition is concerned. If they have to produce ammunition, they have to collaborate and then produce ammunition and be able to supply the 155 RT ammunition to Ukraine. I mean, these kind of things are scary, because while you may be using depleted uranium, why do you use depleted uranium? Do you? Why do you use cluster ammunition? This is out of frustration.
Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
a total frustrating. This is a totally out of frustration. It's simply as if I really do not care about the present generation and the future generations of Ukraine.
Absolutely.
And friend, President Zelensky doesn't seem to understand all this. He should have by now read about, or at least be put wise as to what happened in Iraq and what happened to the Balkan states and the amount of cancer and the birth defects that have come about. You know, so why is the United States supplying all this? They don't care a shit. They don't care a damn about Ukraine. I will give you what I want to give you, because I have a lot of this particular ammunition lying with me, because normally I would not be able to use it. So let me,
Give it to
you
you.
kindly
You explain it, yeah, so that I can
you,
print more
you
if
use
I
it
want.
on my behalf. So I'm just going back a little. You know, we discussed this earlier. We had talked about the deprogramming operation. You know, the deprogramming operation was the the counter narrative coming about, the narrative which is currently on. Earlier, you know, we are gung ho about everything. Ukraine is this, and
Hmm,
Russia is
hmm,
this, and
hmm,
Ukraine
hmm.
is all powerful, and it's done this and it's done that. And now it is the offensive is slowing down, and we're not going anywhere. So this is the kind of deprogramming operation which is taking place at the moment. So it's getting on to dangerous situations. While actually the United States focus should be on the South China Sea, it should be on the Straits of Taiwan, it should be against China, and they should be more worried as to what is happening in Africa, because Africa has been, if I may just put it, decolonized, and the African people have woken up to all that what has happened to them. I mean, uh, where did I read it? I read it somewhere that the rate of in from Niger,
Uranium,
uranium, the cost of uranium was what, point something per
$0.08 or
kg.
something.
Yeah, 0.35 cents, $0.35 per kg. Now they have raised it to 100 plus dollars per kg. So this is the kind of, and then you have these four coups, one after the other happening. I mean, it's not funny where the militaries are coming up and saying, "Thank you very much, out you guys go," and they're being booted out. So there is a cause of concern. Uh, the focus has to be what is happening in the rest of the world also, and perhaps that is one reason where United States is kind of getting a little antsy about Ukraine.
Now that's interesting because, I mean, let's say the government changes, sir. The Republicans come in, which is most likely the possibility right now, as of today. I don't know what happens going forward and who rigs which election, or if it does happen or not. I have no opinions on that. But as of today, free and fair, it looks like Santis or Trump and Ramaswamy, one of these guys are going to be. I, I mean, I think it's a little towards Trump and Ramaswamy sort of a thing. Both are hardline chaps who want to get rid of this, you know, if I may, boil on the backside of America. Uh, the issue that I see of is two things. One, there will be a credibility question that the Americans will need to answer, right? So that's one thing that they have to do. The second would be that European Union, which is, I mean, you see people like Ursula and all that have completely gone from the scene. What happens to this uh, thing, if I may say that word?
Yeah, uh, first, even before the elections, we let's talk impeachment of President Biden.
Oh, gosh sakes. Yeah, yeah.
So there is already a movement. There is a likelihood of impeachment. There is, I at least last week was all a buzz about the Democrats going actually berserk, trying to save this particular move, which the Republicans were supposed to kind of, and this is because of his son Hunter, who was supposedly on the board of energy company called Burisma, and
Ukrainian.
Ukraine, which is a Ukrainian company. And then Biden flew down and changed the whole scene, all that stuff. So whatever his interference is in, a lot of emails, a number of emails under various pseudonyms have come about. So that's one factor. So Joe Biden is not coming back, is what I'm trying to say. So whether it's him as a Democrat or any other Democrat, I do not foresee the Democrats coming back. It's the in all probability the Republicans which will come in, and with the change of the presidency and the party, one may ask, so what is going to happen? But I just want to put things clear. There may be a stop, put an end put to this war, but the overall policies, by and large, would not change. I mean, the policy against Russia is not going to change, right? Okay,
The
and
Uniparty.
this this particular government apparently is making grounds for a permanent aid to be provided to Ukraine, even despite all that. So they have certain provisions that once it's like I heard somewhere it's like Obamacare. They tried to remove and do away with Obamacare, but they couldn't. So similarly, this aid will also become a permanent kind of a aid, and whatever they may try, it will be very difficult for the a new government to kind of introduce or to remove, if I may just put it. So we'll have to really wait and watch. Will they straight away put an end to this war? It's good for electioneering, campaigning, and all that, but will they actually do it is a question, because they would, after all, get briefed by the CIA and by the State Department, these career diplomats who were the ones actually who shaped the foreign policy and the direction. Uh, Presidents come and go, but the foreign policy direction really doesn't shift. So we will have to really wait and watch. A change in government may not necessarily mean the change in the direction of the war.
So,
That's my reading of the whole thing.
and last question, sir, before I get into loads of audience questions which are here. Uh, I mean, there's just so many. But the last thing that I want to ask you is about Europe, sir. Uh, when we look at Europe, sir, they're now on the down track. Winter is coming. Halat is going to be kharab. They're buying openly now Russian oil. There is, and we've discussed that last
Buying
week.
oil,
Everything,
fertilizer.
सब कुछ खुले में. Be damned. Will there be a country that will break and say enough? Stop. We are done with this nonsense. And which country will it be, sir?
You see, we already have countries started saying so. I mean, 2024 is a year of elections. I mean, everywhere and everywhere, I don't know, whichever country you talk about, there are going to be elections
Yeah,
there,
some elections. Hmm.
right? So 2024 is a game-changing year as far as the geopolitical scenario is concerned, as we've spoken earlier. But what Slovakia is already talking about, uh, the opposition party coming about, and when they come about, Slovakia is going to be in favor of Russia, and then that's the end of Slovakian support. Hungary, we know what is the support. Hungary, we know what Poland is. I mean, Ukraine has threatened Poland to go into a case of arbitration over the grain deal. I mean, if these kind of things, stances are going to be taken by Ukraine, who the hell cares? I mean, people are looking inwards, right? Germany, we know what is happening in Germany. The present popularity of the Premier Scholz is coming down by the day. And he has his own worries. And if I may just put it, most of the countries, French are in trouble and deep trouble in Africa, right? The Bulgarians are saying NATO get out already. So if these kind of things are happening, there is a little twist between Moldova and Romania which is taking place.
Hmm.
I hope people who are aware, and they're thinking in terms of taking away Trimestra. And if they do that, then the escalation is to the next level. So there is, I would say, a whole lot of desperation in the entire of Europe. While UK is also, I mean, economically, we know as to it isn't doing well at all. It's got a negative growth. Yeah, there are no voices to say, because they are the ones who instigated this entire war in the first place. MI6
Yeah,
has
I
been
was.
more
Yeah.
MI6 has been the most active, agency, more active than the CIA as far as this is concerned. So Europe is actually going down, and Europe is knows and understands very well that they are paying a very heavy price,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, they can't just stand up and say enough is enough. Perhaps it's only Hungary at the moment which is saying so. Sooner or later, it'll be the Germans, because the Germans are taking in a lot of oil. They need a lot of fertilizers. Ukrainian exports are down. Russian exports are increasing. Russia has gained all over, undoubted.
I mean, the problem is, and just a last comment, sir. This Russia has gained all over is very interesting, because somewhere down the line, realism needs to come in, and it's not because India has a very close relationship with Russia. Because I have these NATO gang that comes after me and says, "Oh, you're a क्या? I had a pro
Putin
Putin
understand.
pro Putin propagandists. I said, yeah, this was interesting. Anyways, the sense of realization is not coming that that country is actually going to dominate that region for a while. And for both the sides, and if I may say this, and just your last comment on this, the Russians wanted to kind of demilitarize Ukraine when what we see is a very heavily militarized Ukraine. The Russians wanted to de-NATOfy this area. What we see is addition to NATO. So that's a loss for the Russians. And when you look at the other side, they wanted to destroy Russia. Russia has become, I think, much more stronger than what it was even when it was the Soviet Union.
Absolutely. And what President Putin has stated, I just want to quote him. I mean, this is quote unquote. We haven't initiated anything in Ukraine as yet.
So, yeah.
The other one is, if when he was asked by some correspondent, military correspondent Sladvik, he turned around and said, "I am not ready to witness Kiev in ruins as yet."
Can you imagine the control, sir?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I keep saying he's not pushing for the capture, destruction to the extent that he could. A lot of restraint has been exercised, and as I have earlier stated, he's conserving his armed forces for a bigger battle which may come about, because these people are luring him to commit all his forces right now into Ukraine and finish
Then they
Ukraine,
can come and hit him. Hmm.
and then so that they can destabilize Russia. But it's a game of chess, and these guys are very, very smart. This is okay, fine. You want to play this game, we'll play it better, and that's precisely what is happening. He's not committing his troops. He's not capturing any territory. He's waiting for Ukraine to capitulate on its own, which is happening. You want to do 3 square kilometers a week, you go ahead and do it. Winter's coming around, we'll see what you'll do.
Yeah, that's another month. I mean, that's it. After that,
Yeah.
the rains come and then the winters.
And if you talk of drone warfare, okay, fine. You want to continue with drone warfare, I will continue with missile warfare. So that's how it is. So it's going to be a non-contact war which will continue in the winters, with heavy destruction being caused all over, and the Ukrainians wanting to, launch as much as drones as they can. Apparently, if I go by, initially, they Ukrainians had a ratio of 3:1 on the drones, the advantage the Ukrainians had. But today, the advantage is gone, and they say it's 1:1, if I may just put it. But then, when you couple it with the air supremacy, and you couple it with the missiles, and all that equipment, electronic warfare being deployed against the drones, the anti counter drone measures in place, Russia is way, way, way superior at the moment.
And the Russians have not even deployed that much in the battlefields, as you're saying. Most of them are
Yeah,
sitting in reserve doing training.
yeah, for the for preparing for something bigger which may take place.
So the men on the field is the same 170, 200,000 men, which is what Russians were fighting with.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's amazing that people can't see this. Sir. We over at 10 o'clock at night, 11, almost 11, quarter to 11 in the night, we can have this conversation and we know what's happening. Sitting 6,000 pretty miles away. And the Guardian and the Telegraph can't figure that out. And that's something which is amazing to me. Uh, it's a sad scenario where people are just losing lives. I think, I agree with Trump when he says this.
Yes.
People are dying. Just
That's
stop
right.
it. I think that's the best way to put
That's
it.
the that is the sanest. Uh, I would Putting an end to the war is the sanest thing one can do as of
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
And as far as we guys are concerned, we are always on the side of peace. And the more earlier there is peace, the better it is for the
the better
entire
it
world.
is. Correct, sir. Guys, let's get into your questions, sir. There are loads of questions, so let's kind of roll through because people are I mean, I think this is your answers in the question answer sessions is becoming quite popular. So I want to encourage people to ask questions because it also helps people to think, and that's what we are trying to do here. So I actually encourage a lot of questions. So let's get into the questions, guys. Before that, like the video. Most critically, people have to reach, the last video went to about, I think 40 38 40,000 views. It needs to hit that 50 plus, and we get audience from all over the world. So please help us kind of increasing the likes. It's at 163 right now. We are close to 500 people watching. Can we pull it up to 250, 300, please, so that it's helpful to me, because I've said this yesterday also, I'm saying it again, guys. It's you who promotes my videos. I can't do much. I can just produce it, put it there. It's you guys who have to help me out. And of course, if you want to contribute, the QR code is right there for direct, or you can send me super stickers or super chats, which is what Naveen has done. Thank you so much, Naveen. There is so much on Ukraine, Russia, and a lot of it is Western propaganda. I reserve my diet to your Thursday sessions with the good general, sir.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you very much. It's so heartening to get some positive views.
And here is Naveen again. Thank you so much, brother. General, sir, expanding from your comment on waning human supply in Ukraine, is West hell bent on not taking an L? Okay, I'm not sure. Likely to let not taking a lead,
Indeed, I
likely to
guess.
let the conflict spread to more regions and peoples. I think that is lead. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you see, there is varying supply of human resource, and without and soldiers, just remember, soldiers can't be produced overnight. You can't pick up a guy from the street, give him a weapon, and say, "Go and fight for your country." Uh, soldiering is a very serious business. It takes many years to produce a soldier, a battle hardened, a soldier who can fight and who can think under battle conditions. Now, as far as the rest of the world is concerned, obviously they don't want it to spread to the other areas, but we are afraid that if other than Ukrainians, we are aware that there are a whole lot of foreign mercenaries there. We are aware that there are a lot of Polish soldiers in Ukrainian uniform. All that one is aware of. But fact is, the moment it becomes official and if the war spreads, things would take a very ugly turn, because then uh, Russia would be reacting in a different manner, and so will the world view this war. Start taking the war in a different manner, viewing it in a different manner. Yeah.
JP, thank you so much, brother. He says, General sir, persecution of Orthodox Russian Ukrainian Christians in Ukraine by Catholic Church is there since 2022, but hidden by Western media. Your take on this dark side? Yeah, it's actually a battle of religions. I actually agree with him.
Yes. This is if you go deeper into the darker part of it, it has more to do with the religion.
Orthodox versus.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's the Orthodox versus the Catholics. Now, uh, Orthodox are very Orthodox, and the Orthodox Russians. I mean, I remember I'd gone through Kazakhstan. Was it? Yeah. Yes, it was. I think in Kazakhstan, or was it Poland? I was not permitted inside a church. It says, remove your hat. It's not the turban part of it. So it's told. So the Orthodox guy is very Orthodox. So yes, uh, not much is being spoken about it, but I think the underlying current in the whole thing could be a West initiated Catholic. I would not want to get into religion, but it could be one of those wars, and that is, it would be. I would say it is very wise on the part of the Pope to have uh, proposed peace, so that it doesn't take a very religious tone. Well, It may be an underlying current, but definitely it would be wise that this doesn't escalate into that. But
Zelensky,
yes, but lot of
Zelensky,
persecution
yeah,
persecution has taken place as far as Ukraine is concerned against the Orthodox Russian Church.
Zelensky will not listen, right? So, uh, he said, Jain, sir, in your opinion, Zelensky is responsible for killing of an entire generation of Ukrainians. Do you think Ukraine economy can ever recover after 20 years because of lack of men?
100% agree with you. What you just said, Sasanka, is Zelensky is definitely responsible for killing an entire generation of Ukrainians. And if you have DU being used, there won't be another second generation, next generation. In any case, the women have gone all over the world. They have left the country, most of them, and trust me, they're not going to return.
And what they're doing, the kind of life
As
that
far
they've
as
gotten into is
as, as far as the Ukrainian economy is concerned, no ways will it recover. I guess it's people like me and you who will have to go and settle down in Ukraine and make a living, a killing out of that place. You have the €1 houses in Europe, and
yeah,
you will have one hryvnia uh,
house
houses
in
available. But there are no houses left. That's the tragedy of the whole thing.
probably in Kiev, sir.
Yeah, that's about it.
JJ says, is there a possibility of a trilateral grouping of US, India, and Russia? Is there a subsequent amicable rapport between with Russia?
Not happening as of now. You see, what you just stated is something very nice. And I will not bring in India into this, but a wise United States, or the wise West, that there is a sense of kind of feeling that realization that the United States should not have antagonized Russia. On the contrary, because Russia is, after all, linked with mainland Europe and is a part of the kind of the same landscape. US should not have antagonized Russia. The Europe should get friendly to Russia with a view to challenge China. So, in the overall interest of the United States, it would be a good idea to be friendly with Russia if if they have to counter China. But on the contrary, this war has changed the scenario in a different. It has taken it in a different turn. Russia and China have gotten together, and you know the BRICS, and you know what is happening. So the United States, on the contrary, is started getting is feeling the heat. If I may just put it, I won't say weakened, but feeling the heat. So if they had to really go about doing a very geopolitical, geostrategic analysis, it would have been wise if Russia was with the United States or favorable with the United States and than with China. So it is kind of a pivot at the moment. So it's taken it's turned towards China, and which is, you just imagine how powerful BRICS would be.
That's all China's fault, sir. Have you seen the body language of American diplomats and porters in front of that Ukrainian comedian? That's an interesting observation, actually. Today, Blinken was all bendy, bendy in front of him again. Wonder why.
Yeah, because I kind of, you look at President Zelensky's body language. I mean, full of arrogance, full of confidence, overconfidence, and he's kind of roughshoding all these guys. And you know what the foreign minister Kuleba has turned around and said, told Anthony Blinken when they were addressing on a
Mhm.
formal address. He's made a statement that whatever you are giving to me is not
Not
charity.
actually.
Don't consider it as charity. I mean, they've taken it a little too far.
The
And
arrogance of that guy, I mean, that guy is very arrogant, sir. I mean, he
yeah, they're
actually
all
said that
arrogant.
India was driving with Ukrainian blood in their tanks at one time.
Oh, they're all very arrogant. All
Yeah,
very arrogant.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, next, supersonic diesel. Is Russia even putting a proper effort to win? I get the feeling that Putin is going soft to avoid civilian casualties. You've talked about this.
Absolutely. We talked about it. He's not making an effort to win. He knows that he's winning. He's won. Only thing is, he's waiting for the right timing to execute his other plans and achieve his strategic aims. Uh, he's on a wait and watch mode, and he's avoiding not only civilian casualties but also military casualties, causing more
So,
casualties to the Ukrainians while conserving his own force.
Jai Hind from Russia, Moscow. And this person says, thank you for these streams. I must admit the information provided here is very accurate. I am Russian.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Spread the word amongst the Russians. Uh, uh, Vaman says, many say that Ukraine is another Afghanistan. Can hatred grow among Ukrainians? Will terrorism haunt US for its betrayal with Russian help in the future? Easy for white Europeans to infiltrate. That's a very interesting point, I must say.
This is one dimension. Uh, we have to really think about it in the future, because all the weapons which are coming in are going into the hands of these neo Nazis, the white supremacists. Europe is going to be, you will find, as it is, there is a lot of influx of the Islamists, weapons available freely, uh, two divergent communities, both very strong in their ideologies. You will have, there will be a lot of problem in Europe.
Problems.
I would not say haunt the United States, but definitely will haunt the Europe, the EU countries, because it's not leading to good times, is what I would say. With your economy going down, with weapons available, poverty on the rise, unemployment, shortage of oil, shortage of, I mean, everything, food, food grains, etc. So there's going to be a lot of problem, and Europe better be watching out for all this, and that's
So,
going to be the major fallout of this. May not be visible right now, but within a period of about a year or so, within 6 months, I would just put it this way, things are going to be pretty bad in Europe.
now, next is a very interesting question, Rishi Karan, and this shows a little bit of a something that we keep talking about. Ukraine has successfully blunted the might of Russian forces and exposed the importance of proper training and leadership. What are your opinions on this?
I would not say is blunted the might of Russian forces. Uh, while it has exposed the importance of training and leadership, there's no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Everything. Uh, you just remember, trained soldiers. If you have trained soldiers, if you have trained them systematically, trained them properly, which most of the armies do, and I'm sure the Russian armed forces do that. It is always the leadership which counts. In the end of it all, it is the leader who has to take his men, lead the men to battle. He has to lead from the front. He has to make sure that he executes his operations in a manner that he achieves the desired result while causing where while causing harm to the enemy and while conserving his own strength. So that's the art of leadership. Now, as far as exposing the Russian leadership, Russian training is concerned, initial phases, 100% agreed. Russians did not know, they were not prepared, they did not have the intelligence, the ground inputs were not accurate. I think it was an intelligence failure. I think it was a badly planned operation. Uh, they were not prepared. But subsequently, they have been prepared. Now, if you just see the quantum of equipment which has been provided to Ukraine, high tech equipment. It's colossal. The amount of money which has been given to them, the amount of equipment which has been given to them. Had this equipment been available to a well trained force, you should have seen the end result by now. But unfortunately, while the Ukrainians, you believe that the Ukrainians have blunted the Russians, initially, yes. As of now, no. Because we've just spoken, Russians are not interested in getting their own people killed, if I may just put it this way. They are happy with what they are doing at the bare minimum level while conserving the forces. So at the moment, that's what it is. And interestingly, the Robotsne and the Verbove, that area where this in Zaporozhia, where the battle is going on, and all the brigades formations are being put into this entire wedge. Trust me, the Russians are letting them do it, because once everybody comes in there, they're going to blast the daylights out of them in a concentrated manner. So this will be a very strategic move on the part of the Russians to trap them in a bag, if I may just put it.
They do this every time in every place, and then these guys still don't learn. There's still a trivia. There's still a daily bus service that runs between Helsinki and St. Petersburg. This bus service has never been suspended since the beginning of the war. Flights and trains were suspended. So he's in that region, sir. That's why he's able to kind of tell us
No,
this.
that's interesting. I mean, if the bus is running, so that just shows that things are not that bad on ground. At least, and Helsinki is Finland is not really part of the war. It may you know be there, but it's not directly involved. So I guess this has not been stopped.
Indeed. Why isn't nobody talking about winter is coming? What about general winter for Europe?
No, everybody's talking winter's coming, winter's coming. Where will the oil come from? Not that nobody's talking. This is the main
They've
worry.
broken their sanctions.
Yeah, they don't know what side to look. Everybody is now turning back to Russia. Romania is talking that's saying we cannot offend Russia. Germany is, you know, all wanting all the oil. Is wanting all the fertilizers. It, just to put wise, Germany did not have needs oil for the fertilizer plants, so they do not have that. So they have to import from Russia. So the general winter is going to come for Europe, and it all depends on to how severe it is. And if it is a severe winter, trust you me, things are going to be very very bad on the ground. Yeah, everybody's talking and everybody's worried, and
Actually,
that's
are
that's what
they?
that's why the little hurry in completing this operation and trying to the Americans forcing the Ukrainians to put in all the might into this particular Zaporozhia region, so that some headway is made, more territory is captured before the winter set in, not knowing that they're going to get blasted after that. Yeah.
Indeed. Maitri, how far can we say that Zelensky is just another performer with someone else having the remote control? It could be the Russians just came across this somewhere. Can this be an angle? Freak, that'll be a coup of the century, if I may.
No, what you just stated, I have also come across that. Uh, what has been stated is that Zelensky is an actor. He's a performer, he can act. It is somebody else who's writing the script for him. Whether it's the Russians, I do not think it's the Russians. It will not be the Russians, because why would you do that? And had that been the reason, by now the West would have knocked him off.
Exactly. Yeah, I think
They would have,
that's
they
a
would have discovered him, knocked him off.
hmm. Major General Prabdeep Singh Bair is one of my favorites. Love listening to him. Adi, you're doing a really well job. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, Nile. It's good to know you.
Jai Shri ma'am says, General sir, if have all the weapons left in Afghanistan by the hasty USA Biden exit all been used up?
You know what happened, Jayashree? Let me just take you to Afghanistan, since that's another area that I've actually worked upon. Afghanistan, the weapons that they were left, firstly, most of them were destroyed. I will just put it this way. Uh, of course, small arms, etc., were there. A lot of ammunition was left behind, but those the majority of the equipment was destroyed. Whatever they could destroy, they did destroy. Whatever was left behind, many of it actually got sold to Pakistan or got stolen by Pakistan. Actually, that's a fact. Whether you call it stolen, whether it was sold, but they many of them went across the border. Many of what was left in Afghanistan was repaired, taken over by the Taliban, whatever army is there, taken over, made to use, made functional, and are being used. So it's not that they have been all used up; they have been absorbed within the armed forces, and they would have they have cannibalized. Like I'm aware of an Apache being cannibalized and made operational by them. So similarly, a lot of equipment would have been cannibalized and made operational.
I believe the A-29 Toscanos also, sir.
Yeah.
So, Ashok says, how prepared is the US to put boots on the ground to take on the Russians? Is this in this type of warfare? Also, how is the US going to go in with low stocks of ammo and etc.?
At the moment, while we have discussed this, United States is not really prepared mentally to put boots on ground. So today, if we are discussing about it, yes, uh, that may be they're very smart. They'll try and put NATO forces there, and NATO forces means other East European countries, which are neighboring countries like Poland, etc., and they will sacrifice those. Okay,
Yeah, next.
yeah, don't you think that it's going to be American boots on ground? No
Yeah,
ways.
yeah.
That is one. Second, as to low stocks of ammo is concerned, yes, low stock of ammo, but within all armed forces, we have adequate stocks, which are minimum stocks which are to be maintained are never touched, and whatever is being provided, as we've discussed, that why are they giving them cluster munitions? Why are they giving them DU ammunition? Because they know they can't use it otherwise, and they're not meant to be used. They have been produced earlier. They were lying in stock. Uh, so ठीक है, just because they are in stock, they have to be used. So they can be given.
So
So the actual ammo would not be given. Minimum requirements are maintained.
always. Global Office 2.0, America is really too desperate to get conclusion on this war. It has agreed to supply Ukraine with depleted uranium. Is fear of losing getting to the West finally? This is something that I think Sir has taken up. So, any further comments
Yeah,
on this?
but I just want to comment on this. DU, don't get hassled by DU at the same time. Well, DU is being provided. It's being provided for Abraham tanks. How many tanks? 10 tanks. 10 tanks. How many rounds per tank? I think the carrying capacity would be around 42, 44 is per tank. So 42 rounds per tank into 10 tanks is 420 rounds, and a second line of another 200 plus. So about 1,000 odd rounds at the moment would be made available. Period.
Mm.
And when the rest of the tanks are made up, that is, I think the regiment is going to consist of 31 tanks. Is 21 tanks, 21 into 50, say 60 per tank, right? So that's about it. 1,500 more rounds. So don't get hassled. And as I said, they're just giving away what is spare.
Fresh talk, FIFO, sir. FIFO, first in,
Yeah,
first out
yeah.
rotation. Mark says, why EU? EU's Ursula rejected Delhi declaration. What is the end game regarding Ukraine? Should Russia react?
Yeah, what is the end game regarding Ukraine? End game regarding Ukraine is not. It
Nobody
is death.
knows.
It's the death of the last Ukrainian, and who is the last Ukrainian is Zelensky, I guess. So till that happens, it's not going to work out, right? And should Russia react? Russia is not going to react. Russia is saying, okay, fine, let me see as to how far you can carry on. Now, it's more of a street fight. It's more of street gangs,
That's yeah.
Yeah,
That's an
let me see what
interesting
let me see as to where you can go and what you can do. I'll see.
that's an interesting way of looking at things. Rajiv Saab says, General Saab and Adi, I wait for Thursday's evening. Fantastic program. Questions: Birmingham is bankrupt. German
Yeah,
recession. France facing African uprising. What will be the effect on Ukraine war? Now that's a very good question, I must say.
yeah. Birmingham is the second. It's gone bankrupt. Second most important country, city in UK gone bankrupt officially. German is in recession. France is, what is happening. Effect on Ukraine war? Nothing. Still continuing the way it is because it's. Let's wait for the winters. Let's wait for the electioneering, which has got to take place in 2024, and that's where we will see changes. Till then, it's going to carry on like uh, pinpricks here and there, some drone attacks here, some drone attacks there, some little dole being given to Ukraine, and continue fighting. Now that the men have gone, it will be the women who will fight for their country, etc., etc. God knows. Sad state of affairs because this country, they're not looking. I may be a little harsh today. Europeans and Zelensky and the United States are not looking at the war, they're looking at reconstruction. They all realize that sooner or later the war has to come to an end. While the military industrial complex has gained and has gained maximum, now they're looking at reconstruction. $411 billion, 400 plus $1 billion will be needed for reconstruction. Where will that money come from? Who will be the contractors? How much money can they make out of it? They are thinking beyond this war. They're not thinking about ending the war. That they know will end sooner or later. How do you benefit out of this war? I wish I was a contractor. Yeah.
I wish I was, yeah, anyone in this war.
Yeah.
It was a
I just share something with you that uh, for every mine that is demined, the payment is in thousands of dollars. So if somebody has got the wherewithal, start a demining company where the Danish have done, I think the Dutch or the Danish, they
Hmm.
have a company going.
Germans and the Danish, yes. So.
Yeah, they make tons and tons of money. And I remember a long time back, and we were doing which one? We were doing Western Sahara. No, we were doing Ethiopia, Eritrea, and I was kind of looking after that a long time back. And they just about removed 74 or so mines, if I remember the demining team. Millions of dollars being spent. Number of mines demined 74. God bless. I mean, I want to go there, make money. Yeah.
Yeah, no fighting.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
will
no,
come
no.
after the we will come
After
after
that.
the fighting.
Yeah, yeah. Moving ahead.
उसके बाद आएंगे वापस हम. Naveen says, on the lighter side, ancient wisdom tells us that a certain creature is nearing its demise. It beelines to the city. Perhaps some external actors were better off staying out of the Ukrainian conflict.
Yeah, very true. I mean, absolutely.
Usha says, if young women are deployed, what will be the impact on health and family and demography? Health of the family and demography.
Ma'am, what about the health of the family and demography today? All Most of the women folk have all gone. By the way, they are uh, out of Ukraine. Many young ladies who are still in cities, on the western part of Ukraine, bordering Poland and Lithuania and Latvia and all these countries where the western border is concerned, they're still around. But as far as the war zone is concerned, the women folk have all gone. And the moment this conscription is made official, trust you me, at least 80% will again cross the border and take that bus to Helsinki, wherever. I'm just joking. They
Right
would,
now, yeah,
yeah, they would just cross the border and go across.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, what's going to happen is they're going to be prevented from going because they've had enough of the refugees. And so there's going to be absolutely uh, the your concern is absolutely right. Demography, I'm afraid there's no next generation. That's not happening. And with DU emanation, if it is in greater amount of supply, and cluster emanation, so much of maiming, so much of uh, uh, destruction which has taken place, I think it's a colossal damage which will only be realized after a few years. Today everybody is gung ho, but what about this people who have lost their limbs, people who have homeless, people, women without men folk around? The cost is very high, but it's a sad state.
Absolutely, sir. Last three questions, sir. What about Russian playing cool customer to Xi Jinping about the new map, including the Russian island?
Yeah, I mean, this map has created a lot of furore all over the world, and nobody cares a damn about it. If I may just put it this way, no, nobody
Yeah,
really cares. You can put out a map; it doesn't change the boundaries. It doesn't change much. It just shows.
actually,
It just shows the Chinese intent, and it's trying to make its intent very clear, and in turn, making countries conscious of the fact that tomorrow they got better be prepared to fight them out.
they've given
That's
a
what.
very clear message to Russia. That's it.
Yeah.
And Kirjo Lohi, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. I would like to know whether these streams will continue after finishing of the war. Will you discuss other interesting topics?
Yes. Why not? With
We were just talking about that before the show started. So yeah, we're coming up with something. We
Yeah,
will
we will. It's not. I actually have restricted myself to Ukraine, but then you will get into something better on a larger picture.
absolutely, sir. And the last one, JBJP. When will we get to listen to you on other topics? Again, this is the same thing, sir. So thanks so much for that. And
I can
there
do
was
that. I
one.
can do it. I can do Hindi and Punjabi. Punjabi, I'm afraid not much, but Hindi definitely. And if you want Nepalese, so this is what I can do.
Wow. Sir, now here is a person from China,
Yeah.
okay, who's commenting Russia was strong. Now, many in China don't think Russia is strong any longer, but Ukraine has lost most lives.
No, this is something which you all need to understand. Russia, you all are basing it on what happened in the initial stages, right? You all are basing the whole thing that Russia has been defeated, it got pushed back, it had to do this. Uh, we have discussed this earlier. I don't know whether Ming you were a part of that or not, but we've discussed this issue. If the impression that you all are getting that Russia is not stronger anymore, that's not correct. Russia is even more stronger after this war because it has given this war has given Russia an opportunity to fight the West and to upscale its production, to upscale its technology,
Absolutely.
and to showcase its technology and upscale its technology. And trust you me, it will be stronger day by day. So don't. I think this would be a very wrong message you all are getting. Ukraine has lost more lives because of the fact that they've not been guided properly. They were not prepared to fight such kind of a massive enemy. They were not prepared to handle such advanced technology weapons, and they've they've been fighting in penny pockets. So their strategy in overall has not been really correct. Yeah,
Just the last funny comment. So until now we heard of ghost towns, and now we will hear about a ghost country.
absolutely. Let's go there.
Sir, thanks so much. This has been, always fun. Thursday nights is something, honestly, I look forward for it because it's something we actually go a little different. We go a little global, and it's fun. The people come from all around the place. People interact, and I keep getting comments the next 2 3 days where people keep giving their opinions. Uh, so it's a very interesting show. As I said, we will work with General Sir to try and expand the purview. Probably in the next week, we'll try and work on that and expand the purview of the show. We will cover Ukraine and other global geopolitics, which is lighting up on fire as stuff is happening around. So we'll try and do that. But sir, thank you so much for sticking on to Ukraine, and I mean, your research and your analysis has always been spot on. So congratulations on that, and I hope that we can continue this thing into looking at various different things around the world for some time. Thank you so much, sir. Till next time, Jai Hind.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Good to be on the show. And you guys have a great week ahead.